she is.
Alright, hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about a huge problem going on in Brazil. I'll be discussing the Amazon rainforest and the tribes that live there. They are all at extreme risk of extinction. I'll be discussing who make up these tribes, factors influencing their risk of extinction, and what researchers suggest can be done to help with this issue. The Amazon rainforest in Brazil has the largest number of indigenous tribes living in it. Lucia Newman, writer for Ajira, traveled to the Amazon basin harbor. She made a video about everything she learned from being there. She made a video in September of this year, and according to her video, she learned about 6 tribes who had contact with the outside world and dozens who do not. The tribes who have no contact with the outside world are known as isolated tribes. Mark Plotkin creates videos for a website called TED Global. Plotkin just published a video titled, "Will the People of the Amazon Know That You Don't?" in October of 2014. He states that the greatest and most endangered species in the Amazon rainforest is not the jaguar or the harpy eagle, but it's the isolated tribes. I believe that this is something very important to think about and many people fail to realize. The Amazon holds amazing things like plants, animals, and most importantly, human beings. Mark discusses how he was in the Amazon rainforest and met with a shaman from a tribe many years ago and once a couple years later. And he hurt his ankle and the shaman healed it with medicinal plants. These tribes are so important and know so much about things we simply do not. Mark stated that the rainforest is disappearing, but the people of the rainforest are disappearing even quicker. These tribes are so important to Brazil and even the world. Now I'll be discussing the causes of extinction. Lucia Newman had a few discussions with individuals from the Majira tribe. These members said that they felt as though they were in danger due to the government. They stated that how lawmakers are trying to make it where the rainforest was no longer protected from outsiders. Lucia said the lawmakers are trying to get rid of the agricultural restrictions that currently protect the rainforest the tribes live in. Lucia discussed a group of individuals who were put into place to protect these tribes and the rainforest. This group is called the FUNAI. These groups are a part of the Brazilian Indian Affairs Agency, and they had a post at the Brazilian Basin Harbor, but when she got there it was abandoned for months. Many FUNAI posts are closed due to government restricting their funding. This has caused so many issues, such as a news story that was released in September stating that 10 individuals from an isolated tribe were reportedly slaughtered by gold miners. This could have been caused due to the FUNAI no longer having a post to protect these isolated tribes. Another huge risk to these tribes is deforestation. Deforestation is a serious issue that continually happens. A lot of individuals going into the forest and tearing down trees for their crops. As of right now, that is illegal, but it's hard to monitor everyone doing so. Researchers tracked the change in the forest in 8 study sites. This article was titled, "Our Isolated Indigenous Population Headed Toward Extinction?" and was written by Robert Walker, Dylan Kessler, and Kim Hill. In this article, they created a chart showing the change in the forest, among other things. They tracked these using high-resolution imagery, considering they are areas where tribes live. They separated it by different regions in Brazil. They started in 2001, 2002, and 2004. They stopped monitoring it in 2014. There were changes in every single region. They then listed statuses of each region. They listed them such as vulnerable and critical, meaning that these areas needed extreme help. Researchers conducted a study on these tribes in an article titled "Amazonian Societies on the Brink of Extinction." This article was published in 2014 and was written by Robert S. Walker and Marcus J. Hamilton. In this article, it states that there are not a lot of options to use for studying these individuals due to their little contact with the outside world. In the study, they found a small population of about 40 people living in the village. This study was used to judge whether these populations would be able to survive the risk of disease and deforestation. The study of extinction due to having such small populations. This is another serious issue when it comes to the individuals living in the rainforest, because they have not had shots and they have not been around diseases, so they have not built up any immunity to things like we have. Now that I have discussed key points, I will be discussing researchers' suggestions for eliminating some of the risks. Researchers' suggestions. The article that Robert S. Walker and Marcus J. Hamilton wrote also discusses ways that they could help the tribes, and they suggest setting up a remote surveillance program that tracks the movements and demographic health of the tribes. I think this could be a good idea due to I believe that this could help with a long-term survival for them. I think this is difficult in finding ways to help them due to not being able to communicate with them very well. I do believe that some tribes would be willing to talk, such as the tribe Lucia Newman spoke to in her interview. So Dylan Kessler and Robert Walker published an article titled geographic distribution of isolated indigenous societies in Amazon and the efficiency of indigenous territories. They also recommended that additional investment of research and protection of the isolated tribes in the basin could be beneficial. They suggest using a remote system to monitor these individuals to hopefully find ways to protect them. So now that I have shared some information about the Amazon Basin tribes with you all, I hope you all can see how big of an issue this is for not only them, but for us. Thank you.
I can't speak a word that I